Stonks-9800 very much reflects the stock market it expertly replicates. When the line goes up, wiggling its way into the millions, the highs you feel are unparalleled, a synchronistic dopamine hit, a perfect coalescing of engrossing gameplay mechanics, electrifying, energetically melodic tunes, and a nostalgia-driven 80s animated vibe. However, when that line crashes, and trust me, it will crash, the frustration and dwindled potential feels simultaneously soul-crushing and disappointing, not because the experience is bad, but because it could be so much more. Currently, Stonks-9800 is in early access and allows players to access just the free mode. This is essentially an indefinite life sim in which players desperately attempt to make as much money as possible while dealing with the tedium of life, managing stress levels, their relationship with their co-worker, the real estate markets, and the intangible nightmare that is the stock exchange. Of course, all of this is cohesively tied together by the game's mesmerizing art direction, an 80s CRT-inspired love letter to anime with vivid colors that punctuate your screen as the stock charts zig and zag like a psychedelic cross-stitch. It grounds the game in a hyper-reality, removing some of the inherent stress that comes with the fundamentally frustrating nature of gambling. The gorgeous world created in Stonks-9800 is almost cozy at times, peppering its bleak moments of financial woes with enticing minigames, memorable lines brimming with wit, and a cheeky sense of humour. But perhaps the best aspect of Stonks-9800 is its emergent gameplay, the ability to piece together narratives through player choice, offering intriguing scenarios and randomly generated conclusions that lead the player down wildly divergent paths. The sheer number of systems, from the ever-fluctuating stock market that can bring ruin to your empire in moments, to the RPG-esque skills that essentially determine how good of a person you are, is staggering. The engrossing nature of Stonks-9800 stems from this ability to keep you hooked on the unknowable possibilities that lie before you. In many ways, I have a deeply profound reverence for Stonks-9800, a passionate sense of awe and wonder at its many intricacies, an ability to formulate engrossing narratives through a handful of menus, and a singular, quirky character. There is so much on offer here that it feels like an overwhelming task to break it down in just a few thousand words or less. Stonks-9800 invokes a genuine sense of endless possibilities in the player, providing a vibrant, fantastical sandbox and a series of comprehensible tools with which to engage with it. It pokes and prods with different options, but ultimately it is up to the player how they wish to direct their own narrative. This is what makes Stonks-9800 so remarkably masterful. Unfortunately, Stonks-9800 is so fundamentally flawed in its current state that all of its ingenious and creative concepts become swiftly buried beneath a ruinous mountain of bugs. For all of developer Turnox's indefatigable artistry and innovative creativity, Stonks-9800 feels frustratingly inconsistent to play. One moment you're indulging yourself in another hour of enrichingly engrossing emergent gameplay, and the next you're sitting befuddled as yet another bug causes you to inexplicably lose all of your money. One bug in particular, coupled with a questionable design choice, rendered me broke, seeing hours of progress crushed into obscurity. For context, Stonks-9800 has a fluctuating income tax variable that charges you a percentage of your income every month. Typically, if the income tax says it's 3%, then you'll be charged 3% of your overall income. However, I found myself earning 22 million yen, only to be charged 45 million yen in income tax, despite the rate being set at 3% at the time. While that might sound like a lot of mathematical mumbo-jumbo, in essence I was charged far more than I should have been, sending me deflated into the red, my entire fortune completely depleted. On a technical level, Stonks-9800 is broken too. Frequently images and menus would overlay on top of one another, making it impossible to discern what was happening on screen. This could only be solved by saving and quitting the game. At one point I became inundated with pop-ups and messages like a comically bad virus in a movie, repeating the same information over and over again, not letting me progress or take any meaningful actions to solve them. Frustratingly, I fear that many will boil down Stonks-9800 to these critical points, evidently forgetting the lavish praise I gave it earlier, which still feels as if it does a disservice to the exceptional creativity and ingenuity on display here. While it is true that Stonks-9800's early access state is less than subpar, I can categorically say that once polished, this will be an exceptionally unforgettable masterpiece. This is a game rooted in the irresistible freedom inherent in emergent gameplay, a spectacular example of freeform storytelling that feels as memorable and meaningful as the verbose 100-hour-long JRPGs that are so frequently, and of course justifiably, celebrated. However, I appreciate and understand that it is a lot to ask someone to take a gamble on a game that suffers so much from technical and occasionally mechanical issues. Risk is all too often the foundation of early access titles, an opportunity to throw your support to original and talented developers, but at the cost of patience, a pleasure so few enjoy now. If this were a fully released game, I would have perhaps been a lot harsher, although admittedly still rather hopeful for its future. Fortunately, Stonks-9800 is not a full release, and is therefore, at the very least in my eyes, afforded a grace period during which it can grow and improve. I do highly recommend Stonks-9800, especially if the aforementioned freedom, coupled with the inherently engrossing nature of stocks, intrigues you. I feel confident in my assertion that not only will Stonks-9800 eventually become the genuine masterpiece it has the potential to be, but also one of the best indies ever made. Thanks to the developer for the review copy, and thanks to you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more reviews just like this one.